What if I told you that one relationship could change the entire course of your career? In the past 10 years, I've been able to create, connect, and celebrate in ways I never imagined. And I'm here to show you how to do it as well. Let's get into it. What up, though, y'all? It's TPG, and welcome to the most interesting gentleman alive. This channel is going to show you the art of building meaningful relationships, how to curate the most unforgettable experiences, and let alone how to elevate your lifestyle. I want this to serve as inspiration to inspire you to elevate your lifestyle. And you can easily do it by building connections. I've worked as a brand ambassador, content creator for over 10 years. Started off with a blog. I worked for some of your favorite brands like Mercedes-Benz, High Museum, the list goes on. Over 100 brands I worked with in over 10 years. And I did most of these through relationships. Stay tuned to find out how I did it. All right, so one of the first stories I want to tell you all that recently happened in 2024 was me having a chance to interview Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys for Giants, art from the Dean collection of Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys. This was at the High Museum. I worked for a brand ambassador, as the brand ambassador for the High Museum since 2018. I was a part of one of their first influencer, like their inaugural program that they had underneath Noel, who worked there, and that's how I had the relationship. I know her through my best friend, Thomas, who is my mentee, my little brother. I'm from Morehouse, graduated from Morehouse, class of 2015. And I met him at an open house by being a student ambassador at Morehouse, giving tours and being there as a leader to show like, hey, this is what students are going through, let alone this is my story and this is why you should come to Morehouse, right? So fast forward to meeting Noelle. She's in this role. She's looking to initiate this program. I was a tastemaker already creating content. I had a blog. I started my lifestyle brand back in 2011. I officially launched it in 2014, TP Gent, educating men and women on becoming the modern gents and ladies. Yep, that's me in college. Bruh, your boy used to put it on. I still put it on. But this was me finding myself, and I went to Morehouse for that reason. And so I met Noel through Thomas, and I remember going into the High Museum and having this meeting and just talking to him about what ways that I can bring culture and my community to the High Museum. A lot of people in my circle at that time wasn't too privy to art, and we weren't tapped in to the art community. I wasn't going to art shows, and I didn't know how to assess art and just be a part of the community, and half the time it's just showing up. So I started doing that, and I got a chance to become one of their influencers, brand ambassadors. During that time, I got a chance to work on the Super Bowl, on the Infinity Mirror tour was there. A lot of their big premiere exhibitions I got a chance to be a part of as a tastemaker, as a brand ambassador. And the High Museum has been great partners of mine, and they actually just sent me some coffee beans to roast. But like, I've been working with them for a while. But the reason why I got the Swizz Beatz, everyone's like, how did you get that? How did you get a chance to interview them? The last few years, I haven't been big on social, so I decided to get back in 2024. And I reached out to them, and I said, hey, it's been a minute, haven't talked to you all. I saw that you recently had the Tyler Mitchell, which his work is beautiful. If you haven't seen it, if it's still going up, if it's still up, make sure you check it out. But I got a chance to see his work, and I missed the event. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I saw him miss the private event and the tour that you all had with him. But you have anything else coming up in the future, just let me know. And bam, Swizz Beatz, Alicia Keys, Giants, it was coming up. And I reached out to my point of contact, and I was just like, hey, you have anything going on? So I actually was just thinking about you, and set up a meeting, talked to them. They shared with me what they had in mind, which I didn't even think about. I'm thinking I'm just gonna go in there and create content, build some hype around the exhibition. I was like, actually, we're having this big party. We need help with the red carpet. I'm like, okay, as you can see, I can put it on once again. And so I had a chance to, one, not only create content, but two, build relationships with the talent, with the artists, and got a chance to interview Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys. My mom loved it. She was like, she's always telling me to make sure you get a picture. Like, I went to go meet Kamala Harris, VP Kamala Harris. And my mom was like, make sure you get a photo. Got a photo. But I've met Michelle Obama. I've met Barack Obama. Don't have a picture of that one. Sat front row, met him twice. And I also got a chance to meet Joe Biden. That's a whole nother story about how I worked for Secret Service for one point as a volunteer driver. But we'll get into that, hence why most interesting gentlemen alive. But working with the High Museum came strictly off relationships and me following up and maintaining those relationships. And between that time when I wasn't working with them, I was still showing up to media events. I was still being present, still tagging them on social, and still creating content and tagging them. So we always stayed engaged, even though I took some time off for content creation. And so if you're looking to like build your relationships, I know a lot of people are worried about these big brands. When I first started, people weren't coming to Atlanta. All the brands were in New York. I used to go to Thomas, that same guy, to his crib, him and Austin, sleep on their beanbag and set up coffee dates. It was cheaper than drinks and dinners with founders. Founders are obviously, you name it, all these different influencer marketing platforms that were coming up during that time. I was meeting with the founders and owners to have coffee to talk about, hey, I'm in Atlanta, I create content, I want to work with you all. And so fast forward, I kept that mentality, I kept that mindset, and I always focus on building relationships. And so that's how I got the opportunity to interview Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys, and that's how I built my brand, is through relationships. Another story I want to highlight is how I got a chance to work with Mercedes-Benz. This was like one of the pivotal points, and people always ask me like, when did you know that you should go full-time at this? Or that's when Mercedes-Benz was knocking on my door. They had just was announced that they were putting up this new arena, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I didn't mean to say arena, but they're putting up this new stadium called Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And they're looking to have influencers to be a part of it. But on top of that, prior to that, I already worked with Mercedes. Mercedes had me go out to the Masters. The Masters in Augusta gave me a whole car, literally gave me a car. I spent the whole week down there at the Masters. Now, mind you, I was working a corporate job at the time, and Lord knows, I'll tell y'all about that finesse later on. But I got a chance to go down there. They was like, we can fly you down there, or you can give you one of our cars and you can just take it. I'm like, heck yeah, I'll take that. So took the whip, went down there to the Masters. Never been to a golf tournament before, but my first one was the Masters. This is how I was aligning myself. I simply met them through other agencies, people who worked at agencies that I met at other events and other things that were going on in the city. I think it's real important to just highlight that the people that I met through different social events. Going out and connecting with people in your industry is going to help you be able to navigate and build with your peers. Everyone is always focused about talking to these top brands. You got brands that are here in Atlanta. Focus on them. Everyone wants to connect with someone who lives in New York and LA. Connect with the creators that live here in Atlanta. That's how you're going to build your platform. And that's how I built my platform. And that's how I built my relationships. Relationship building versus networking is knowing someone's family, knowing where they're from, knowing what they have going on versus just walking around passing out cards. I don't go into the room trying to meet everybody when I walk in. If I meet 3 people, that's perfect. We exchange contacts. You never know when you're going to need them. Social media has helped because you get someone's phone number, it's stagnant. But if you post it on social, you got motion. They just followed you. You're on the top of their timeline. So what are you sharing next when you connect with people? Like, those are the type of things I was thinking about back in 2014 when Instagram really wasn't that big for content creation. And like, people used to be like, what is that? You're an influencer? I'm like, it's a brand ambassador. Brand ambassador roles to me always had more significance because they only pick 1 or 2 people to be a brand ambassador during this time. It wasn't like influencers where you can have a campaign of 10 people. It wasn't that many people to pick from that they were used to doing that or creating budget for. Influencers are more accessible versus the brand ambassadors at that time was just, it was just a different ilk, right? Always compared to like Nike Elite socks, if y'all familiar with that. If you had Nike Elite socks when you were hooping and you didn't buy them, they were given to you, you was a hooper. You were elite. You played for a Nike branded team. You went to that school, AAU team. You weren't just no regular hooper. When people started buying them and getting them, that changed it. And yes, I used to get my Nike Elite socks. I didn't have to buy them. But that just brings me back to the brand ambassador piece. To me, I held the brand ambassador piece like the Elite socks when they were just only for elite people. And then when everyone started being able to have access to it, it changed it. So I love influencers. It's important. It has a lot of reasons of how it can build social commerce and this community. I'm a part of that community, but like title wise, to me, I like also the social strategy side of it as well. All right, listen. I can go on and on. I had to interrupt myself right there because I love building relationships, and that's why I even started my lifestyle brand called Elevated. We'll get more into that, but I'm new to YouTube, so I'm gonna get this light situation handled so it'll be consistent. But I told myself I'm just gonna get my rocks off by starting my video today. Today is December 23rd. Tomorrow's my birthday, and I'm semi-dressed right now because I'm headed to my girl's crib because he's surprising me for my birthday tonight, somewhere we're going, and my birthday's tomorrow, Christmas Eve. So I'm putting this out today because I want you all to subscribe for my birthday gift and subscribe to my channel. And here I want to give you all gifts on my birthday about how to build relationships, how to curate these meaningful experiences, and how to elevate your lifestyle. People are always asking me, Berto, how did you get invited to this? TP, how did you get invited to this? I'm like, a lot of times it's just based off relationships. And then from there, people just put you in proximity and want you around. So they'll invite you and roll out the red carpet because they know you have a platform and you can share it. But before I was popping on Instagram, when Instagram was a thing to pop off on, I was in real life. I started doing parties in college at 18. I was social in college. Everyone knew me in undergrad. I worked with Hit Squad. That was a promo team. Corey, Ant, like Paul, Ish, all of them I was underneath. They were underneath DTP. So Luda Day weekend, I'm a college student. I'm working these major events, right? A lot of people who came up during that time in the AUC are doing big things now. And that's because we also have mentors, but we also work with our peers. And I have mentors and sponsors. I'll talk about that later as well. But I want to get into, like, for instance, this is the month of December. I had 6 holiday events to go to. 3 I attended, 3 I produced. The first 3 I went all in one day. I think this was like a Wednesday a couple weeks ago. I got invited to a whole bunch of things throughout that week, and it all just aligned up to 3 holiday events in one day. I had to go to Edmund's Honor, which was a whiskey brand. They had a mixer. It wasn't a holiday event, but they had a mixer. That was through relationships, connections. I believe that came from like the gathering spot, and they invited me out. The second one I had to go to was Bossip. Bossip had their holiday event at, whatchamacall, we were at the 4th, and whatever the new Moonlight, the little lounge spot they have going on, we did that as well. Boss Up, I got through Janae and Ray. Met them, Ray recently, a couple of years ago, or less than that. But Janae I've known for like almost like 18 years, I felt like, just through the ecosystem of Atlanta. I'm also a committee member for Soho House, and I work in the creative space. So I just end up rubbing shoulders with people. And the last spot I had to go to actually wasn't a holiday party. It was supposed to be a meeting, but it ended up being a New Year's Eve shoot. At my people at Palo Santo, which I do my monthly elevated experiences at. But all these things came through relationships. Lalo also is on the committee for Soho House, so people are like, oh, how did you get Palo Santo? I'm like, through relationships. How did you get invited to this event or this mixer or this red carpet here in Atlanta? A lot of time it's through relationships. Now, people do randomly reach out to me via email and ask, like, hey, would you love to attend? And depending on what it is, I'll say yes or no. But overall, that's how it goes. I usually go to things that I'm personally invited to, or if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. I also produce experiences as well. So the following week, I had 3 activations I had to produce. People are always like, brother, what do you do? Like, how do you make money off of just content creation? I'm like, I just don't do content creation. Like, I create experiences. And that came from doing dinner parties, brunch parties. I used to do Euro in Atlanta. I interned with Ciroc back in 2014 when I just turned 21. I was working underneath Blue Flame Agency, underneath a lady named Ashley Cleveland. She showed me the game. Hit Squad, then Ashley got me right. Then I met my partner named Jesse. Like, Ashley put me on. Ashley maybe about, 6 years older than me, 8 years older than me. But she didn't want to have to set up and do all this stuff earlier before the party starts. And so I became her assistant, and I would go. And I would learn how to set up POS and the step and repeat for a banner. right? The logo banner that you see at parties, like the cups that you see or the straws and the napkins, the things that you would see at tables that may be branded, POS, right? Point of sale. I put those things up. I got there before. I met the manager, security, the owners, the bartenders, you name it. I met everybody by just doing that as a 21-year-old. Imagine being in Atlanta for the past 10 years and how many relationships I've built from doing that consistently over 10 years. That stuff is priceless. I did dinner parties at STK, Euro. Like I was back in Rain Vanquish time. Like I was doing parties as a 21-year-old in Atlanta, and that was pretty cool, right? I got a chance to meet a lot of dope people, and now that leads me up to, okay, I started this Elevated series, and I've been doing it at Palo Santo, I've done it at Tulum, and it's been like these dining experiences. I've done wine tours, the wine tour one. I'm gonna do a full breakdown of like how this wine tour happened in LJ. If you haven't been wine tasting and you live in Georgia, you don't have to go out west. You can stay here and just go north. Just 2 hours, less than 2 hours, past Chateau Elan, an hour past. There's some beautiful vineyards up here in Georgia. But during this week, the following week, I had 3 events I had to produce. One was for Atlanta Tech Week. I also work as our hospitality manager or director of hospitality for Render. I get a chance to work in partnerships as a specialist as well, but I work with our partners. All right, I have a very vague title, but very specific purpose, right? It might be like, oh, hospitality manager, like what does that even mean? No, I tend to those who partner with us. And internally, now the things that we're doing, I'm curating and making sure we're having that experience internally as a company. And I also work on partnerships and sales. So when people are looking to have a booth or, a footprint on the expo hall, or they want to do an activation or do a hackathon, I'm a part of that as well. So if you aren't familiar with Render ATL, make sure you check us out, renderatl.com. 2025, we're having our conference in June, the 11th through the 13th. Make sure y'all are there. I'm telling you now. If you don't know, now you know. But Atlanta Tech Week is our sister company, and this is their first full year, and they're coming up on being a part of like having an entire week starting on the 7th. And so we did a holiday party for them. We actually did it at Pasha. They have a cigar lounge that's next door. To show you some of that footage as well of how I curate the space, work with the owner, work with the partners to activate that space. Beautiful turnout. Recap was dope. Photos came out great. Malcolm Brandon did a phenomenal job. He also shot the wine tour that I did. So he also worked for Render. Ecosystem, we keep it tight. The second activation I had to do was with Render. Render had a holiday mixer that took place 2 hours before from 7 to 9. I curated that. Boom, we had gifts, set these gifts up. I love putting together gifts. One of my favorite things to do for my experiences. And then we had the party part. So we had the DJs come in, they're mixing, good music, good vibe. You all can just see the room is nice, it's filled, but not too packed. You can move around, the bar's not too crowded. And we got specials always going on. This particular activation, we have Bacardi as a sponsor. All right, and last but not least, my third activation I had was at MCK. My people, Lucci, Kareem, Mitch. I've known Lucci and Kareem back in 2015 when I was doing bottle service, brunch bottle service at Euro, right? Off of Peachtree, right there by the old Justin's and like Holman and Fitch, H&F, with a burger spot over there. And I met them a long time ago. They opened up MCK. A few months later was my birthday in 2022. Shut down the whole restaurant. Birthday was lit. All black. If you weren't there for the 2022 B-Day when I turned 30, you wasn't in Atlanta, bro. Everybody was there. It was a beautiful experience. I did it again for my 31st. I'm not doing anything for my 32nd. Yes, I'll be 32 years old. That sounds crazy to say, but I have came to terms with it already. Like, I'm 32, and I have a lot of great things coming up in 2025. I love that my birthday also lines up with a new year. So every time there's a new birthday, there's a new year. So it's a lot of intentionality behind each year for me. But I put on this experience at MCK. We originally had a different venue. Something ended up happening, unfortunately, but we had to pivot, which happens in this space. And it's great to pivot last minute to people where you know who owns the spot. And so MCK happened. We did it with Maddox & Co., which is my client. They wanted to put together an experience and work with Macallan. They already had a relationship with Macallan. I used to be a brand ambassador with Macallan, so very familiar with the brand and what they were looking for, the execution. Inviting the people, we only invited 80 people, about 60 showed up. We did a Macallan tasting of Macallan 12 and Macallan 15 at MCK. Once again, beautiful experience, curated by your boy TPG. But if you're in Georgia, listen, let's connect. I put on these curated experiences, and I like doing them from other people. And you're in the city and you need assistance for doing any of this, let me know. But if you want to follow and just learn, and you find any of this meaningful, leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. What would you like for me to talk more about? What are things that you're navigating or looking to get into that I can provide assistance with? It doesn't just have to be based in Georgia, like entertainment, even corporate. I've worked for Coca-Cola, Chick-fil-A Foundation, you name it. So I have a background that's well-versed in entertainment, political, social, corporate, all the above. I'm here to give some insight. So if you have any questions, I'll be sure to include this on my next, what do you call these? Episodes, videos, uploads? I don't know. I'll figure it out. And I didn't mention this, but get you a journal. Moleskine, I've been using this since October 28th, 2014. That brand, this is my 7th journal. But if you aren't journaling, you aren't writing down the things that you want to do, it just helps bring it together. Journaling has been one of the most peacefulest things I've incorporated into my life. And I can go back and literally read who I was 10 years ago and what I was going through and what I'm going through now. And my kids going to be able to read this and their kids going to be able to read this. And I don't have to tell the story about why I started journaling. Like, it's a dope story to me. I like sharing it. So I'll share that on my next episode. Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out what to call these. So I'm going to call this episodes. I got to treat this like a show. But make sure you all subscribe, like, share. I'm new to this medium, to this platform, so y'all got to help me out. But I appreciate you all rocking with me. Thank you all for tuning in to the most interesting gentleman alive. It's your boy TPG, man. Thank you. Bruh, I just made a YouTube. That's crazy. Let me go ahead and get dressed, y'all.